What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian along from House of Rasslin, and this is my review for the November 23rd episode of AEW Dynamite, the Thanksgiving Eve episode of AEW Dynamite. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notifications so that way you're notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Give this video a thumbs up on YouTube, man. Show your love, man. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Instagram, and yes, I'm still on Twitter. And you can also follow me on Hive at Dedrian180. So, yeah, follow me there. Man, let's get into it, man. This AEW Dynamite show here in Chicago. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it, but I know of a few people that attended, and the messages I got back was, man, this was a lively crowd. It was a fun crowd. It came across on TV. This was an entertaining show. It wasn't something that took itself too seriously. Of course, hey, Thanksgiving's the next day. Let's just have some fun. It's Thanksgiving Eve. Let's just go out, entertain the people, and just do that, man. And I appreciate that. I know there were some people that weren't happy with the certain things that were happening during the Kenny Omega Young Bucks Death Triangle match. I'll get into that a little bit later. But man, this was a fun show. The main event actually, how do I put this? It surprised me in a good way. I did not anticipate that much, if you want to call it brutality. But man, I did not anticipate that. That was a fun match, even though I kind of want this whole Jericho Ring of Honor Championship thing to kind of wrap up soon. Hopefully it wraps up December 10th at Final Battle. Please let it be Jonathan Gresham to take the title off of him. But man, this, like I said, man, this was a fun show. This was one of those shows, if you couldn't make it to the arena, mind you, I'm in Chicago, so if you couldn't make it to the arena, and of course, if you're preparing for tomorrow and Thanksgiving, and you got people coming over and stuff like that, this was the show that you would watch while you're taking care of things for getting ready for Thanksgiving, if that makes sense. So that's why I liked it. I loved this show. It was fun, but let me do what I always do, and let me give you guys the results, and then go into this show. All right, so we had Orange Cassidy defeat Jake Hager. He retained the All-Atlantic Championship. We had Ricky Starks defeat Ethan Page. We're getting Ricky Starks and MJF at Winter is Coming. Ooh, boy. Remember, guys, go back and look up my YouTube shorts. Remember, I said we're going to get Ricky Starks and MJF. Called it. Then we had the Lucha Bros defeat the Elites, and now the Lucha Bros are up 2-0 in the best of 7 series. Then we had Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter defeat Anna Jay, Tay Conti, Willow Nightingale, and Sky Blue. It was how do they call it? A triple threat tag team match. There you go. Then in the main event, Chris Jericho retained the ROH World Title against Tomohiro Ishii. Man, side note, please go see Tomohiro Ishii live, because man, that is so fun to watch, man. Man, that is so fun to watch. So that is the results for the November 23rd episode of AEW Dynamite. So now let's get into this. So the show started. You had William Regal come out. And mind you, the show starts with the typical intro and everything. And right away, if you just had it on, you weren't paying no attention to it, just like you're like, all right, let me get my stuff, and then head to the seat, couch or something, and let me watch this. The crowd was just booing. I was like, man, what's going on here? William Regal was there. Of course, people were anticipating MJF would be there, and he mentioned that MJF will be there next week to explain everything that happened at Full Gear. You get FU Regal chants. Then after a while, you get Wild Thing, and John Moxley comes out, and it's like, ooh boy, This is going to be good. This whole segment, overall, I liked it. It was a bit came across a little bit trivial and like, all right, where's this going? Um, Once Moxley came out, and then after a little bit later, Bryan Danielson came out to prevent Moxley from attacking him. So Danielson, he's basically somewhat the mediator, but then from his verbiage and everything that we say, and it was like, are they teasing a potential Bryan Danielson heel turn? Like, interesting. I wouldn't expect it, but then it's like a heel Bryan Danielson. We kind of got a tease of it when he fought Hangman Page this time last year, or actually the beginning of this year, at Winter is Coming, and it's like, this is going to be interesting how this plays out. So Danielson mentions that, hey, we've all done bad things. Please don't hurt him. He has health issues. He went into detail of like some of his health issues. Then after a while, Danielson smacked Moxley, and this is where things kind of got like, okay, like I could see if some people are like, well, it doesn't make sense because William Regal screwed Moxley out of the title, and why is Danielson being a mediator? Okay, I could see that side, but also you got to remember in the context of the story, Bryan Danielson and William Regal have always had a close relationship. Regal, of course, was one of the main guys that recruited Danielson to ROH. So you have that connection and everything. Mind you, I'm talking about in context, story context. So that's where it's like, okay. And that's where I'm like, yo, it's like Danielson, like subtly and like, is this a tease to Bryan Danielson eventually turning on Jon Moxley? Like, this is interesting. So yeah, he smacks Moxley. Then there's BS chants. Danielson, he mentions, there's people that love you in spite of your struggles. Remember your struggles. Then Moxley's like, hey, save Regal for me. Or actually, no. Danielson, this was a thing that kind of like, I don't know if it flew over. Danielson mentioned, save Regal for me. I love this man. Like, it took so many twists and like, man, where's this? Man, I gotta keep watching to see where is this gonna go. There's Moxley chance, and Moxley, he walks up to Regal and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna give you, I think he told him like 10 seconds or something. I don't know, but he basically told William Regal, hey, get out of this ring and keep walking, because if you don't, I'm gonna beat the hell out of you. So Regal gets out of the ring. He starts walking in a typical Chicago crowd. It's what we do. Na 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 na. Hey hey hey. Goodbye. They start chanting that, and then they go to commercial. So yeah, there's a lot to unwrap there with the whole Regal, Moxley, Danielson dynamic, and then of course we got to wait till next week to see what is the fallout with MJF and William Regal and what was behind that. For a lot of people that say AEW doesn't do good storylines, there's like 4 different storylines in this whole thing. You got MJF, William Regal, that dynamic. You have William Regal and Moxley, that's 2. Then you have William Regal and Danielson, that's 3, their relationship. And then you have Moxley, William Regal, and MJF. That's 4. You have 4 different routes that this storyline is potentially going to take out of MJF winning the title for Moxley. You got 4 storylines out of this. Really interesting. Really good. I am invested to see where this goes with MJF. And of course, I'm going to go into a little bit later. MJF is going to face Ricky Starks at Winter is Coming. So you have you got five, or the Ricky Stark storyline is, the fifth by proxy. Of course, MJF's fighting, so you have that. So, man, there's so interesting, so good, and man, this is really. It's like, this is going to be some really interesting storyline that develops out of this and where it goes. It's like, you know what? I'm entertained. This is going to. All right, let me see how this plays out. Then we get a backstage segment with Keith Lee. He is with Renee Paquette. Renee asks him, with the fallout from Full Gear, what do you think of this? And then before he can utter a word, Swerve Strickland comes in, and Keith Lee's like, hey, can you let me talk to him. She walks away. And Keith Lee, he looks at Swerve. Swerve takes off his glasses. Swerve covers up the camera. He's like, hey, let's talk. Then he comes out. It's like, okay, what's going to go? What do they have to talk about? Like that. It's not a bad thing. It's just, there's, mind you, this is the second segment where there's so much curiosity and you want to know more of, okay, where is this going to go? Which, again, when you have storylines like that in wrestling, that's when people start getting invested. It's like, okay, where is the Swerve and Keith Lee going to go? Swerve was acting very heelish, and, the whole pliers to Billy Gunn's hands, cheating, and then Keith Lee's walked away. What does Swerve have to talk about? Also, keep in mind, what Swerve Strickland has been tweeting with this, it looks like the PlayStation symbol or something. Him and Parker Bordeaux have tweeted out the same symbol. So, is Swerve Strickland setting up Keith Lee to be attacked by Parker Bordeaux? Don't know. Let's wait and see. But I'm interested to see what's going to go on. I've really been impressed and love Swerve Strickland's work as of late, and I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with Keith Lee after this, because this is going to be fun. Then we get Orange Cassidy, Jake Hager. I've really liked I really liked Orange Cassidy's work in the last, honestly, ever since Forbidden Door with his match against Will Ospreay, which I was there to watch it live, and ever since then he has been, I think a lot of people don't give Orange Cassidy credit as far as the work that he's done since Forbidden Door and his match against Will Ospreay. It seems like that was the match where he just started being more aggressive in the ring. He started being more he started using less and less of the comedy. Like, he would do it at the height of the match, not, early on setting the tone or something like that. He would do it for a few matches, but for the most part, he's been doing it more in the highest spots of the match and just being more aggressive. This match, I'm glad he won. The Jake Hager had him. I don't know. It's kind of goofy for me. It doesn't make sense that you have Jake Hager, who he was the initial surprise on AEW Dynamite, the first episode. He was in, the enforcer for the Inner Circle, and he's somewhat the enforcer for the Jericho Appreciation Society. And I don't know, it's just, granted, some people, Jake Hager's not their cup of tea or anything like that. I don't have no problem. He's pretty cool, but I don't know, just the hat thing, and he's chasing it, and I want my hat on in the ring. It's like, bruh, you have a hat on while you're wrestling. Of course that thing is going to get knocked off. That is, it makes no sense. But they're doing it. But I'm glad Orange Cassidy won this match. He wound up doing the Cadora with a pin. Now, here's where things got interesting. So afterwards, Best Friends and Orange Cassidy, they're celebrating. QT Marshall and the Factory come out. As they're walking, QT Marshall starts talking, but his mic goes out. And then, if you notice, as he's walking to the ring, you see the Titantron, or the screens in the back, go black. And then as he's walking up the ramp or the stairs and everything, he gets in the ring or he's on the apron. The lights go out, and then they get red. And right away, I'm like, "Ooh, are we getting a grittier version of Danhausen?" And no, all we see is Julia Hart with a hat on, looking up and raises her hands. Music plays, and mind you, this is new music. Lights come back on. We have the House of Black back, man. The House of Black have returned, and they kicked everybody's ass in that was there. The Best Friends, the Factory, they just beat everybody up. And what was so cool about this segment was the fans were cheering them, and they were chanting, "Welcome back, welcome back." Afterwards, you had security come down. House of Black beat them up. So you have Buddy Matthews, Malachi Black, and Brody King. They walk up the ramp, and they're just looking around, and the crowd is just cheering them. They're cheering them, and Malachi grabs the mic, and he's like, "House of Black, rise!" And they just big ovation. So, are the House of Black faces? Like, this is gonna be pretty cool, and I don't know, man. I really hope that, again, they still have unfinished business with Miro. Hopefully they recontinue that. I just want Miro back. Hopefully he comes back in 2023 really soon. They need him on TV, especially on Rampage. Like, have him just on Rampage doing this thing. But man, the House of Black is back. Man, this is gonna be fun. All three guys they look good. They looked in phenomenal shape. Malachi Black looked good. Somewhat sabbatical that him, Buddy Matthews, and Brody King took. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. It just seems like ever since Brawl Outs, and with a lot of these guys taking time off and whatever issues people had or what have you, and, just sometimes you just need to go away and recalibrate. Just seems like there's just a lot of talent that are just like, boom. All right. And man, I'm really excited to see what is in store for House of Black as the year winds down and going into 2023. You add them to the trios division with the Elites and Death Triangle. The Elite versus House of Black. Kenny Omega versus Malachi Black. Whoo! People wanted that match in 2021 when Omega was the champion, and I can't remember if we got it. Comment below if we got that match. But man, Malachi Black versus Kenny Omega, Buddy Matthews versus Kenny Omega. Man, the Young Bucks versus Brody King, like a handicap match, man. Brody King versus Kenny Omega. Ooh, man, there are some entrances. Hey, was it Matt Jackson versus Buddy Matthews? Like, this is good, man. This is good, man. I'm really excited to see where this goes. And like I mentioned at Full Gear, the clip that I posted on the House of Wrestling YouTube channel, and you could check that out after this review in the YouTube Shorts section. Like I said, man, there's this this reset, this focus, this energy, this enthusiasm with AEW since Full Gear. Is just, man, there's just this enthusiasm that hasn't been there, man, you could say since last Full Gear. Actually, you go back farther. Last year's Grand Slam. Like, now it seems like AEW has that enthusiasm where it's like they are becoming, or now they're getting back to being that solid alternative to the WWE, where it's like, okay, we know what we're getting with WWE, but this is what AEW does, and hey, if I see WWE and there's things I like and don't like, and it's like, you know what? Let me see what's over here. That's what they're providing. you can't ask for anything else. If they want to be the alternative, they're providing being an alternative. So then we get a recap of Jungle Boy and his Full Gear match, and man, that was a match. That was a fantastic match, a very underrated match that many people aren't giving it credit that it deserves. But man, this was a fun match at Full Gear. Please check it out. Then we get to Ethan Page and Ricky Starks. For me, this was the match that I was looking forward to on Dynamite. I'm really excited what they're going to do with Ethan Page. I'm definitely excited with what they're going to do with Ricky Starks. It was two guys that many people have been saying for over a year, like, hey, these guys are it. They need to be in the TNT title picture. For whatever reason, they weren't. You know, Ricky Starks was in holding the FTW title and barely, was usually on Rampage. Ethan Page was caught up in the whole America Top Team thing with Dan Lambert. It was just like, he doesn't need a mouthpiece. Like, get this guy solo and let him be himself. Like, this dude has it. And man, this match was a fun match. This was a match that, for me personally, one of the reasons I liked it was because it was stakes. And of course, whoever won was going to face MJF for the world title. Two, these guys were all, they're getting elevated, and it's refreshing. It's fresh talent. Granted, what I mean by fresh talent, it's fresh talent on the main event scene, where it's like, okay, we've had Moxley, we've had Jericho, we've had Danielson, Hangman Page, Punk. Who else we could throw there? Man, I'm trying to think of who else. Basically those guys. And now it's like, okay, we got MJF as champ, but man, now we got Ethan Page, Ricky Starks. Ooh, these are the guys that we've been wanting to, or we've been wanting to, and we, pegged like, hey, these are the guys that are going to be future champions. And now they're in the picture, and it's like, oh man, this is fun. This is going to be fun. So, man, this match, there was Ricky chants. Ricky Starks was aggressive in this match. Keynote in this match, Ricky Starks had basically his ribs taped up. And man, Ethan Page, smart heel move. He worked those ribs. Ethan Page countered a tornado DDT by throwing Starks on the top rope. That was pretty cool. Starks, he's doing a tornado DDT movement, and Ethan Page caught him and, halfway through, and then boop, threw him there. Man, that was so good. Then there was a portion in the match where Stokely pulled Ethan Page out of the way while Starks hit the floor while he was diving through the ropes, which, man, that looked, man. I don't know how these guys take these bumps, but hey, if they can do it, more power to them. And the ref saw it, and the ref ejected Stokely from ringside. From that point, you had Starks execute a superplex, then a swinging neck breaker. I have not seen a swinging neck breaker. Man, I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen the swinging neck breaker move, because, man, that's a move from like the mid 80s to early 90s, late 90s. Like, I have not seen that move in a long time, and that was like, oh, that's a throwback move, man. I like that. Then you had a tornado DDT that Starks executed, but Ethan Page kicked out. After that, Starks, man, he executed 2 spears. Man, the way he executes these spears, it's really cool because he's executing these spears out of counters. So it's not his go-to move. It's actually a move he does while he counters a move, which is so damn cool because it's boom, 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 boom. That's it. He hits 2 spears, gets the pin. So Ricky Starks, he's facing MJF at Winter is Coming. That is, I believe it's 3 weeks or so. But man, this is going to be fun. I am really interested to see the promos between MJF and Ricky Starks. I believe that's one of the reasons why, many people have like, oh man, been anticipating this because they're like, man, we know what MJF can do on the mic, but man, Ricky Starks is pretty good on his mic. And I think that's one of the best things you can do for MJF as a world champ is not only have him go against good wrestlers, but have him go against guys that can talk on the mic. Because, man, if you got at least... So, you got Ricky Starks. Ethan Page can talk on the mic. Eddie Kingston can talk on the mic. Trying to think of who else that isn't there or gives good promos. Miro gives good promos. Man, I'm trying to think of who else, man. I'm brain like a comment below who are other names in AEW who give good promos. But man, if you can give 5 solid guys that are not only good wrestlers but can talk on the mic to feud with MJF in his first title run, that's gold, man. That's gold. Because, man, MJF's going to talk people in the building, and that guy's going to talk people in the building. And, man, that is going to be a fun ride. And we know how AEW likes to do long-term storytelling. So, man, that's 5 guys that can talk. That's easily a year. And we'll see what happens in 2024 when MJF contract goes up and the bidding war happens between AEW and WWE for MJF services. But then we get a recap of Wardlow losing the TNT title. And he mentions how he saw Samoa Joe hit him with the belt. And he's like, hey, I saw that. You're not a champ. It's my belt. I'm getting it back. So we're getting Wardlow and Samoa Joe, man. Ooh, but I want to know what they're going to do with Powerhouse Hobbs, man. Don't forget Hobbs, man. Come on, man. Give that man some gold. So then we get a recap of Jade Cargill and the baddies confronting Bow Wow. Yes, Bow Wow, who has his Millennium Tour going on, I believe, with B2K and a few other artists from the early 2000s. This already went viral, but I do got to give AEW credit. What I like is that stuff that happens on social media, they're incorporating it on their program. So it's not like, well, this happened and, you mentioned that something happened on social media. No, they're actually showing it, which makes it more inclined to, man, I need to follow these wrestlers and I need to follow AEW on social media because, man, things are happening, man. Like, you had Jade Cargill and the Bow Wow situation. Then, of course, during the Elite Lucha Bros match, and before the match started, they showed George Kittle from the San Francisco 49ers and Penta, chopping it up, and Penta gave him, one of his masks, and it was 49ers gear, and, George Kittle is a huge Penta El Zero Metal fan. So I like that because they were, it's like, oh man, AEW is actually doing some really cool stuff that's, different. It's like, man, this is fun. But man, we get Jade Cargill. She's backstage with Renee. She's with Kiera Hogan, Layla Gray, and a returning Red Velvet. Yes, Red Velvet has returned. She brings in Mark Sterling, her lawyer, and he's like, yeah, she's going to mention, her response is no comment. And Jade Cargill's like, well, I recaptured my TBS title, but I didn't have any help. And they're just like, oh, and then Mark Sterling goes to Kiera Hogan, and he's like, yeah, I need you to sign this, and you're no comment, and your services are no longer needed. So Jade Cargill kicked out Kiera Hogan from the baddies, which is crazy because Layla Gray was a fill-in for Red Velvet. So now Kiera Hogan got kicked out. So I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with Kiera Hogan. Again, she's a former Knockouts Tag Team Champion. I believe she won the Knockouts Championship I could be wrong. Comment below if Kerry Hogan did win the uh, Impact Wrestling Knockouts Championship. But man, I'm interested to see how that plays out, where it goes. Of course, there's a lot of enthusiasm and momentum with the AW Women's Division. I'll get into a big announcement that they made about the Women's Division later on. But man, I'm interested to see where this goes. Then we get to the match, I would say, of the night. And man, I gotta say, Chicago wrestling fans do not disappoint. They are some of the most, actually, let me rephrase that. We are the most entertaining fans. Actually, New York and Philly, they're up there with us. We are we are probably the top 3 as far as wrestling fan bases that are just rowdy, passionate, and will just. I love my Chicago wrestling fans. I'm part of that. Like, I love my Chicago wrestling fans. So we get a loud CM Punk chants, but also we get F CM Punk chants and F the Elite chants. Yes, we got both. And I know there's this big discourse on social media like, how could they do this and how could they do that? Look, man, everybody was chanting F CM Punk, F the Elite chants. It was bound to happen. It's in Chicago. Like, hello. Then, like I mentioned, they showed the Penta George Kittle interaction this past Monday on Monday Night Football. Don Callis was on commentary. Man, so let's see. Kenny Omega during this match, he bit Pac's arm, which people were saying that the Bucks and Omega were trolling the whole situation. Was it Kenny Omega did the GTS? Was it someone mocked? Was it one of the Young Bucks? The FC and Punk chants they were feeding and stuff like that. And again, before I started recording this, I just went on a few sections, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on Twitter there's a trend of EVPs, and I noticed that a few of the accounts are bots. How do I say that? When you have 11 and 12 followers and all you're doing is retweeting stuff, yeah. And then, of course, on Facebook, this and EVPs, and they're all so unprofessional, and they're this and they're that, and everyone's so passionate about expressing how the elites are so unprofessional, and vice versa with CM Punk. And this is what I gotta say, wrestling fans. Wrestling fans, enjoy professional wrestling. Like, look, that's between them. That's between the elite and CM Punk. What boggles my mind is how people are so passionate about a situation that doesn't involve them. And of course, well, I'm a fan, and they're destroying the business, and Tony Khan shouldn't have this. And look, it is what it is. If you're watching this review, there's a reason why I never did a video on that situation. Because one, there were so many stories that were coming out that were this side and this side and this side. And two, I enjoy professional wrestling. I enjoy, I enjoy the news that sometimes gets out as far as backstage stuff. I enjoy it. But I am not going to write a freaking paragraph about what I think of the situation. I am not going to do a 30-minute video on what I think of the situation, because here's the bottom line. In pro wrestling, you're going to get 3 sides. You're going to get one wrestler side, you're going to get another wrestler side, and then you're going to get the promotion side. And it can go either way. And look, I know many of you are passionate, but here's the thing. There was a situation. Let me give you some history. And I'll get into this match in a little bit. But in the late 80s, you had an incident with Bruiser Brody in Puerto Rico where him and another wrestler got into an altercation and the other wrestler stabbed him. And of course, they say that it's self-defense, but a wrestler died. And when that happened, I was 6 years old. And I remember reading that in the magazine. I'm like, whoa. And, the case was dismissed. Nobody was found guilty. And Bruiser Brody died. And, his family, they lost the husband and a father. That's serious. This, we don't know all the stories. We'll probably never know the story. And, my thing is this, man. I get people, we enjoy professional wrestling. We have the access to, like what I'm doing, I'm reviewing professional wrestling, stuff like this. And I review it, for those that don't watch or don't have time to watch. Hey, just keep you up to date. But if you're going to do these hit pieces and they're this and they're that and they're this, and you're writing paragraphs and going back and forth with people in comment sections on social media, let me give you a reality check. Yesterday, a Walmart manager shot his employees. And this is right before Thanksgiving. Family's mourning and everything. And you know what? That's reality. That's something we should be outraged about. Because there is a serious mental health issue going on in this country. That's what we should be outraged about. Not what CM Punk, Tony Khan, and the Young Bucks are doing. Granted, we have access to do that, but look, there's more serious things going on in this world. And guess what, man? The families of those employees, they're preparing, they're making arrangements for loved ones they didn't anticipate losing. And tomorrow's Thanksgiving. That's real life. That's what we should be outraged about. That, hey, we need to do something as far as what's going on with these people that are just snapping. Not writing all these paragraphs about CM Punk, Omega, the Young Bucks, the Elite, Tony Khan, AEW. Like, there's serious things going on in this world. And you know what? It wouldn't shock me or surprise me that maybe some of those family members tuned in tonight to find some form of escapism from what's going on in the world. And why do I say that? How many of us who are wrestling fans, we had some of our darkest moments. We looked to professional wrestling as a form of escapism from whatever we were going on, whatever we were going through. That's my thoughts on the whole people wanting to make paragraphs and tweet and dialogues about this. Like, there's more serious things going on than the EVPs need to be more professional and Tony Khan needs to do this, and they're just, oh my God, this is... Nah, man, there's serious things going on in the world, man. There's just serious things going on. So, the Elite Lucha Bros. You had AEW chants, this is awesome, this was a really cool match. Then you had other chants of same old chants. Then you had the way this match concluded, you had Mac Jackson. He low blowed Pac while the ref couldn't see it. He was like, hey, what's going on here? Then you had Matt Jackson. He pulled out a hammer. He's licking it. And the ref is on the outside trying to restore order and everything. And then Penta comes from the back of Matt Jackson. He pulls out a hammer. And then he hits Matt Jackson. Phoenix or Pac gets the pin. 1, 2, 3. Lucha Bros are up 2-0. This is interesting. Let's see how this plays out. Most people, including myself, I anticipate this is going to go 7 matches. But the Lucha Bros are up 2-0. If it goes 3-0, then it's kind of like a dead giveaway. Like, hey, we're going. Like, this is the Young Bucks are going to win 3 straight matches. So it's like a dead giveaway. If it goes 2-1, and then it goes 2-2, then 3-2, or if it goes 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 3-3, and 4-3, then I'm okay with that. But if it goes 3, I was like, man, you're kind of giving away where it's going to go. And you don't want to do that, especially if you're bringing back the Young Bucks. You want to keep things very intriguing, especially with them. Then we had, after the match, you had Ray arguing with Penta about using the hammer. So, again, that's another storyline with Pac, telling him to use the hammer and get more gritty and, by any means necessary win. Then we get Renee Paquette. She's on the stage, and she mentions that because we don't know the uncertainty of Thunder Rosa's return, Thunder Rosa and AEW have come to the agreement that she should relinquish the AEW championship, where they announced that Toni Storm is no longer the interim AEW Women's World Champion. She is officially the AEW Women's Champion, and they also mentioned on commentary during the match that Toni Storm's reign is recognized. So we got some developments. I know a few people were asking that question, like, hey, what's with the interim? And I like how they handled this, because with the men's interim championship situation and the women's interim championship situation, there's so many ways for them in the future. God forbid it doesn't happen, but if it does happen where they have to do an interim championship, now they have the the history, like, okay, we can do it like this or that, because let's face it, all this interim world championship reigns that we've seen in AEW this year, this is the first. So again, this is new to them, it's new to us, so there's a lot of things that are going to be trial by error, so it's like, you know what, keep it. Then we got Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter versus Anna Jay and Ty Mello versus Willow Nightingale and Sky Blue. This was a decent women's match. The crowd was definitely behind Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. Like, they were behind her. They were behind Willow Nightingale and Sky Blue. Of course, Sky Blue is from Chicago. So the way this match concluded, you had Willow executing the Death Valley Driver. Excuse me. Then you had Sky Blue execute the Blue Thunder, which led to a kick out. Then you had back and forth, and then you had Britt Baker execute a stomp, got the pin, 1, 2, 3. Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter win. Excuse me, guys. I almost sneezed. Forgive me, guys. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. You can tell that it's kind of hinting towards Britt Baker's happy for her, but then eventually it's going to get to the point where, hey, she's no longer an interim world champion. She is a world champion. So, how can I get this title back? So there, again, this is another story that has a lot of ways where this story can go. Man, where did I come up with that? I need to have my own dictionary, man. What the hell? From there, we had a backstage segment with Top Flight and FTR. FTR put over Top Flight, especially Darius. Dax Harwood, he's like, hey, it's good to see you back, in spite of what you got, the injuries that you dealt with and everything. I hope you guys take tag team wrestling, far beyond when we're gone and everything. So Darius, he appreciates that. But then the Top Flight issues a challenge for FTR on this Friday's Rampage, which they made official. So we're going to get Top Flight versus FTR this Friday. It's going to be airing in Chicago. It's going to be airing 3 Central or 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So, yeah, nice Black Friday thing to watch. And, hey, let me kick back and relax. So, it's going to be interesting how that match plays out. That's going to be a fun match. Top Flight versus FTR. I look forward to this match because Top Flight, of course, they're like it's like the Rockers and the Hart Foundation, if you really think about it. So it's going to be a nice, interesting dynamic, and see how this plays out, man. It's going to be fun. Then we get the Acclaim. They come out. Huge ovation. Old Scissor Me Daddy chants. Anthony Bowens, he's like, yeah, my shoulder feels better. And guess what? Somebody else feels better. And Billy Gunn, he unwraps his hands and he's, hey. And before they do Old Scissor Me Daddy chants, Max Caster, of course, in his rap leading to the ring, he mentioned Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt. So they interrupt via screen. And, they're like, hey, you don't mention our name ever. And you got Jeff Jarrett. He gets on the screen and he's like, you guys want to call us out and you want to do this? And he's talking crap. And Billy Gunn's like, would you tell that old guy to shut the hell up and get him off my screen? And he's like, the reason why I can say that, well, because I can. I got pulled. That was pretty funny. So I honestly think we're going to get a Jeff Jarrett, Billy Gunn match in AEW, which is wild to think that in 2022, maybe 2023, we could possibly have a Jeff Jarrett versus Billy Gunn match. If you would have told me that last year, I would have laughed at you. If you tell me that next week, I'm going to like, you know what? I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. Then we get the main event. We got Tomohiro Ishii versus Chris Jericho. Man, this match surprised me. I've seen Tomohiro Ishii in person at New Japan Riot back in the spring. Man, that guy's a bulldog, man. And of course, in his matches, there's a lot of chops and forearms, and this was none different. And man, him and Jericho, they were slapping each other, and then after a while, after him slapping or chopping Jericho in his chest so much that Jericho's chest was red, not only was it red, but it was bleeding. Like, it looked like it had to be Tomohiro Ishii's nail or something, like, got him, and it just started flowing. Of course, because they're moving around and blood flow, it just kept coming and everything. But man, Jericho, he wound up executing a lion salt. Then Ishii powered up. Like, that was the coolest spot. Like, Jericho would hit a move and Ishii pop back up, and like, his power up moves, man, that's so entertaining. Then you had Ishii with his freaking legendary headbutt. Then he executed a sliding lariat on Jericho. Jericho kicked out. Then later on in the match, Jericho blocked an enziguri, put on the walls of Jericho. As he had that, he turned into a lion tamer, and as Ishii has his hands up, and then he gives Jericho the old number one finger, and he taps. Jericho wins. He retains the ROH World title. Then we had, after the match, you had Jericho going up the ramp. He was taunting in Ricochet, like, I'm going to break your ankle. I'm going to break your guys. I'm going to break your glasses. And Claudio comes out and he hits Jericho. And that was AEW Dynamite, the Thanksgiving Eve edition. Overall, man, this show was very entertaining. It was fun. The crowd was lively, and again, if you watch my reviews, I'm a big stickler for that, because man, if a crowd is not energetic, like, you guys comment below what you guys think. Like, if a crowd isn't into it, if you're watching a wrestling show and the crowd isn't into it, man, it takes, like, you're like, man, I want to watch something, like, man, let me turn the season. But if a wrestling crowd is really into a show, you're going to be like, oh, yo, what? Man, what's this? Oh, okay. Okay. But man, I love this. I'm really excited about Ricky Starks and MJF. Again, I predicted this, last week, that Ricky Starks and MJF will be wrestling at Winter is Coming, and we're getting it. So I'm really looking forward to their promos and how this plays out. I'm really interested in the whole Regal, Moxley, Danielson dynamic. Interested in the House of Black, what's going to happen to them when they return. Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker, now that Jamie Hayter is the official AEW Women's Champion, she no longer has the interim description attached to her or anything. And then, the whole Jade Cargill kicking out Kiera Hogan. Where's that going to go? So there's a lot of cool things that came out of this episode. And, man, MJF Ricky Starks, man, I'm telling you, that's going to be a feud. Not only at Winter is Coming, but you're going to see that feud revisited a couple times in 2023 because those guys can talk, and that's when you have two good talkers and you have a lineup of talkers facing your world champion who's a talker, money. Case in point, look at Ric Flair in the 80s. There you go. So that is my review for the November 23rd episode of AEW Dynamite. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notifications so that you're notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Instagram. Yes, I'm still on Twitter, and you can follow me on Hive Social. Man, with that, happy Thanksgiving. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay alert, man. Enjoy pro wrestling, and, man, just be good, man. Do good. I'm out.